This is RuPaul's Drag Race, Season 1, Episode 2, Downton Draggy. So this is a much shorter recap because I'm tired and such is life. So they have a micro challenge. The Vivian was top. Vivian's already complaining about Cheryl, and this is okay. This is my feeling. They made a whole arc out of this, so which is good. But I kind of feel like when you're at top, the best thing to do is to kind of shut your mouth, like be quiet. This is my feeling on any reality show. When you're on the top, you know, don't be picking on other people because it looks kind of, it's a bad optics. You know, even though apparently everyone had a problem with it, as the viewer, I didn't really see it. Like, I saw it as nervous chattering, and I felt that they were kind of overly critical. Now, that could have been one comment out of 100, and they made a full arc, because if you talk about the whole episode, we see a story. Cheryl has a real story arc, this episode. But I kind of feel like it didn't endear me to Vivian, even if it's true. It's kind of like when you're at the top, when you just placed at the top or near the top, it's a good time to kind of sit in the background and be like, you know, I'm just focused or whatever. So anyway, they do a micro mini challenge is how it's, and the Vivian has to put everyone in line. Now this is my thing. Someone has to go in every position. So they have a top and a bottom. Puts them all in a line from who they feel. Guaranteed you're going to have, Cheryl did kind of get a little bit like, I can't believe they put me in the bottom. Someone's going to have to be in the bottom. Someone. Yes, whoever's in the bottom is insulted. I get it. Like, I get it's frustrating, but that's just how the game is played. So top to bottom, obviously Vivian's at the top. Put Vinegar, Baga, Crystal, Davina, Something, Blue Hydrangea, Cheryl, Scaredy. Basically said Cheryl was that low because it's annoying them. Not a great way to play the game because you never know what's going to come back and get you. There's a couple of things. Personally, I think in general, people are kind of in a good place. I would have switched Something and Vinegar. Personally, I would have moved Cheryl up maybe one spot. I might have switched Crystal and Davina, maybe. For me, probably Baga would have been up front and all that. So I guess it's a pretty difference. My personal, just off of the top of my head, probably would have been Baga, Davina, Something, Crystal, Vinegar, Cheryl, Blue, Scaredy. I think that would have been mine. But the thing is I'm telling you right now, none of these are set. No, I haven't even picked a favorite yet. Baga is sort of moving forward for me as someone I'm interested in. I'm interested in Davina. They just kind of give me that I want to see what more they're doing. Something is there too. Crystal for me is still like, I don't know yet. Good. Not sure if they're going to stay kind of there or move up, because what you do is there's so much nerves going on. I guess this is going to be kind of a long recap. There's so much nerves in a reality show. They have them talk about weeks, but it's not really weeks, it's days. So they're not really there. They always kind of encourage them to talk about episodes as like the previous challenge being a week. So there's a reference where they're like, we've been here for weeks. You know, it's been since last week. What they really mean is like 2 days ago. These challenges, I don't know what the schedule is, but I'm guarantee they're not, it hasn't been like 10 days that they've been there. It's probably been, at the beginning of this challenge, more like 4, maybe a little more, if they have like their interest. So we'll see. Anyway, but anyone can move. There's a ton of some of my favorite queens coasted for the first couple episodes because they had to get their feet underneath them. Okay, the big twist of this is that top and bottom are team leaders. They get a pick. So Vivian and Scaredy Cat, and then Vivian picks more or less the order that she put people in as they're available. Whereas the only person who mixed it up was Crystal. So Vivian got Vinegar, Baga, and Something, which were her 3 out of her top 5 picks. Scaredy Cat picked Davina, which is number 4. Crystal was the last one picked, which is kind of surprising. But Scaredy Cat went for a lot of the younger people. And then they went for the older ones. Anyway, I'll get to my point later on when we actually get to who lip syncs. Because I have a point there. So anyway, I think Vivian's team, everyone, even the bottom team agreed, did much better. Bag of Chips is a real rock house there. There was something was kind of tripping up. I agree with that. On Scaredy's Cat, oh excuse me, oh no. Sorry, I had to sneeze. So Scaredy's Cat Davina was just really tearing up the scenery. Scaredy, I wrote one note before Michelle even said it. I mean, it was pretty obvious. I'll say it that way. It was good. I was like proud of myself for catching like this acting terminology, but it was clearly the way that is what was happening. It was this every single line, and I get it. It's something to remember about Scaredy Cat. First episode, has never performed in drag, never once. I'm kind of surprised that they were cast. I wonder if that's something they knew in the casting, but it is a good hook. Oh, here's someone who's, not only are they straight and have a girlfriend, or I guess he described himself, I think, sometimes as saying he was straight, but then I feel like later on he said he didn't use the word pansexual, but he said basically, I'm attracted to everyone, which would be, at the very least, bi. So I was a little confused as to why he kept saying straight. Maybe he just meant because he's with a woman. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me what terminology he uses, except that I was confused because I felt like he didn't use consistent terminology, I think. Anyway, really strong story, so I'm guessing maybe that's why he was cast. But to me, it seems like if you've never performed in drag, spoiler alert, you might have a hard time performing. Like, that's like saying you've never been an actor and you're going to go do an acting challenge. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's plenty of drag queens that do that. But anyway, we get into it. It goes on about Cheryl and Viv. I'm over it. I don't know. To me, it just seemed like when you hate someone and everything they do annoys you, one of those kind of things. If you can hear my son, he's laughing in the background. Anyway, Vivian wins. Baga wins from Vivian's team. Very well deserved. Really tearing up the scenery. Then, and some of their makeup. So, I know what I was going to say about this. So, a lot of people talk about how, drag is so different in the UK than the US. I don't know. I'm certainly no drag expert. I think I'm a drag race. I wouldn't say expert, but I would say I'm very knowledgeable. And I would say that watching Drag Race UK, it feels very similar. I have not seen a noticeable difference. There's certainly not as many look queens or pageant queens. They do have some, and they tend to be younger. But in general, it feels a lot like US Drag Race in the best way possible. And what I mean is the aspects of drag that I think are most accessible to the viewers and lead to the biggest stars is very much present in the UK version, which means I'm loving the queens. I'm loving the. To me, it doesn't feel inaccessible. So I'm finding the UK version very accessible. There you go. So I enjoy it. If you haven't, I'll give a little plug. The World of Wonder app, you can watch on your phone or whatever. From what I understand, it's very easy to cancel. It's like $3.99 a month with 1 month free. So if you are not able to watch the UK version and you're just like, I'm just going to watch some recaps and see what happens. Just get it. If you want to, wait till next month. Get a month free. Watch the previous month, whatever. But I think it's worth doing. I figure it's going to cost me about $8 to watch this season, possibly $12. So there you go. So I made a little shout out. Michelle, thank you so much for saying the Scaredy Cat, which has these really super aggressive contours here that are brown. But I would say, so part of me was like, change up your makeup. Because I said the same thing last week when they did Baby. And I was like, the last thing a baby has is like super thick contours. And then the character on the show had it. And then the runway had it. And she said, are you going to do that? She said, paint it like a cat. I didn't get that it was a cat. I thought it was like a Trixie Mattel style blush. But I was like, well, why do I accept it with Trixie? It's not fair to be like, oh, well, Trixie can do whatever she wants. But I think it's because everything on Trixie is so, you know, she says she paints after an old school Barbie doll. It has that feel to it. Whereas looking at, I mean, obviously all the drag queens have very stylized makeup, but it was just the blush. And she said, you know, are you going to do this every week? You got to mix it up. So she mentioned that we get some emotional moments, which we're here for. We get the big interaction with Cheryl telling everyone, yes, I know that them all saying we don't feel like that we really know you, and her saying I'm just having a hard time. I'm really nervous to be here. And it was a good moment. So Cheryl got this full, like, everyone's annoyed with her. I have a feeling this is not going to resolve issues with everyone. But I like Cheryl. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I like her. So there you go. Blue and Scaredy Cat are going to lip sync. I want to point out that so far every youngest person on the cast, pretty much, Gothy went home last time, was 21. Scaredy Cat is 19, and Blue Hydrangea is 23. After them, the closest is Cheryl Hole, which is 25. But this means that the three youngest, as of the end of this episode, have all lip synced. I think it's all been deserved. And to me, I feel like that kind of shows where maybe some experience. I mean, they're really young. Some extra experience performance, you know, might make them better. And I don't think there's anything wrong to say with that. I think going home because you're the youngest and the least amount of experience is kind of like a instant, like, whew, no one can say you've done it for 30 years and you still can't get your act together. I think that's harder. And I say that as someone who is bearing down on death and going, am I ever going to get my crap together? Anyway, to me, it was really super apparent that Scaredy Cat had never performed. I mean, it was kind of weird because I thought lip syncing is one of those things that at least, like, we've all done it. Like, we've all been in the car lip syncing. So I kind of feel like, but it was like maybe she didn't know any of the words because it was like, she's got it. But like her mouth was like, you're like, well, that doesn't even look like words. Maybe I was wrong with words. I felt Blue Hydrangea's was like, this was a lip sync, had a really interesting look, had the three boobs look. I didn't go much into the runway. I thought there was no real, there were some excellent ones. There weren't any gasps, at least from me. I think I'm just tired. So, and so Scaredy went home, and I felt it was well-deserved. I looked on Twitter, and some people were like, oh, they were robbed. And I'm like, I thought it was a pretty clear cut. I think it's really cool. I mean, if you make it on this show, you're pretty awesome. I mean, this is like saying, oh, they were nominated for an Emmy, but they lost. You're not like, loser! You're like, they got nominated for an Emmy. So for me, anyone who made it on the show automatically is pretty amazing. And then we're just sort of like parsing out. And of course, there's plenty of great people who didn't make it on the show. I mean, there you go. So, but I was totally fine with Scaredy Cat going home. So I was a little confused why, like on... Anyway, so yeah, I guess that's it. We'll see you next week.